What about BB King live at the Regal? Is that good sex music?
No, not
I'm
at
gonna
all.
say
Not
no
even
to
kind
that.
of. That's like a whole different vibe.
Hey, this is Party Like a Rockstar podcast, and I'm your host, Joel. Today's episode is brought to you by Misha's Kihn Foods. They're an LA-based small business making the world's finest non-dairy cheese on the market today. They're lactose-free, paleo, keto, kosher, Parev, and 100% vegan. If you like what you see, check out the next video. If you like this video, please subscribe and like by clicking the little round button on the bottom right. To learn more about me or other guests on the show, go to joelrody.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. The handle is Joel Rody. If you haven't already read my book, Memoir of a Roadie, it's now available through Amazon and paperback Kindle or as an audiobook. I hope you enjoy the show.
All right, man. Listen, okay, baby. We got you.
You ready?
Go on, buddy.
I thought, what could possibly get me worse ratings than having the Felton brothers on? Well, the answer today is two brothers who specialize in sound and not lighting. Today's guests are George Edwards and Vince Edwards. Vince is the host of the best podcast on the web. It's called Beyond Backstage Pass, and it's about roadie hygiene. It's brought to you by Gold Bond, and you should totally check it out. When he's not inflating roadies' egos, he is a sound guy. George, his older brother, and clearly a lot better looking, has better things to do his time and does not run a podcast, but he is a sound guy. You two, and I don't mean the band, I mean you two, have basically toured with everyone other than those shitty bands that none of us know the names of. Some of the bands you have toured with are the Mighty Black Flag, the Smithereens, the Grateful Dead, the Beach Boys, Eddie Money, Motley Crue, Nirvana, Santana, Huey Lewis, Journey, Social Distortion, and David Bowie. If this episode fucking sucks, you're going to watch it on Vince's podcast, Beyond the Backstage Pass. If it's any good, you'll get to watch it on my podcast.
That's right.
That's
right,
my
buddy.
intro. My first question to you guys is, the presidential speeches that you've worked on, did they all lose or did any of these guys become president?
I can't even remember.
Obama, dude. Yeah. My guy won both times, and he was a sweetheart. The part is, it's getting the clearances, man, through the Secret Service. It really sucks. Like, they really get in your world. They like talk.
Did
to
they
your
like pat you
neighbors
down?
and shit. No. They came out weeks before that, man. They like literally talk to your neighbors, and they like, no. That's
like,
just
why does he always
well-planned
wear
shit.
black glasses?
Me? Well, should I tell them the truth? Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm sitting in front of like a ton of lights, like a full-on theatrical lighting setup, right? I got all these monitors here and cameras everywhere. But I'm kind of sensitive to light. I've never been I never understood, like, the need for lighting at a show at all. You'd have my way, but they'd call it radio, I guess, at that point. So that'd be no good. But I'm really sensitive to it. I've been known to have a little seizure here and there. So, so the glasses became a necessity earlier in my life. Now you tend to grow out of this. It's epilepsy, right? Yeah. But you tend to grow out of it. It's more of a young person's disease. And over time you have less and less frequency, but I got so addicted to glasses. Now I actually wear them everywhere. It's like having a Sharpie. I go to a wedding with a Sharpie. I go, I don't care. I'm not going anywhere
with your glasses on.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. But I remember I was on Signal to Noise, and Signal to Noise asked the sound man while I was talking to them. They said, "Is he wearing his glasses right now?" They couldn't believe that I actually I just keep doing it at my mom's house. The glasses are real. They're there at all times. I actually have a pair of these glasses in my house, in my car, in my other house, because we live in two places throughout the week with my wife, and then up here at work. Yeah. And then in my office desk, at my writing table in the conference room, I got them everywhere, dude. And the same one now with the reading glasses, because I'm going friggin' blind, buddy. It's crazy, in the last year or so. Yeah, first time,
I was reading, so it was Stevie Wonder. And there's like some few people, and they're like, he's not really blind. It's all bullshit.
Oh, stop that. I know Stevie Wonder, brother. Are you kidding me?
No, he's
definitely blind. He's not just
definitely blind.
Okay. Hear me out now.
Yeah.
There's we work with a lot of people, but there's people like Tony Bennett, Smokey Robinson, and Stevie Wonder, who are all the best, have done it the longest, and are the sweetest people. You can go. When I saw last time we saw Smokey, remember that we did him up at the Fox? Dude, he's 74, and I swear to Christ, it sounded like it was an album playing. And you're talking with him, he's sweet. He remembers you. Tony, we worked with just last year during COVID to do this. I left my heart in San Francisco. We did like 40 locations all at the same time.
Golden Gate Park.
In Golden Gate Park with Tony Bennett, right? Like, we know this motherfucker from ever. He's just the sweetest guy. And Stevie Wonder, dude, he would be the biggest liar if all the times that we worked together down in Pebble Beach, all these crazy jobs, the
people who were saying it was
Lake Tahoe. Man, no, he's one of the most talented people that was ever put on this earth. He's extraordinary.
So it was interesting reading his bio. So he's a little kid. There is no dad in the picture. Mom's
Little Stevie Wonder. That was what he's called.
Little Stevie Wonder, and
right.
he wasn't getting any hits. Then he did. Is it Fingertips? Right.
I don't remember the epilepsy, but
I think it's Fingertips. So he does that, and then nothing, cold, quiet. And so they kept him around though. And then obviously he hit big, but he went through phases where, dude, like shit wasn't happening for the guy. You know, he's like 14 years old at the time. Or he did a movie with.
Can you imagine carrying that kind of weight? Luckily, he was in the Motown cycle, so he was like pushed through, and he was a great pianist too, and just a cute little guy. I'm sure he had some lean in that way, and it was. But when he comes out with albums like "Songs in the Key of Life," or that's like right there with Pet Sounds. That this is some.
Sure.
This is Rebel soul shit. This is like top. Doesn't get better than this. I'm sorry, but and then here's the best part.
Yeah,
he's a really cool guy. He's like a really nice. He kind of touches you. That one's a little off-putting because you're not used to people touching your face, right? But that's how he understands who you are. Right.
Did you pet him?
That's how
back?
he reminds himself that I fucking know you. Remember we did this.
Well,
thing.
he's good at remembering voices, but when he's heard you a few times, then he touches your face. He wants to kind of know you a little better.
Yeah, no, I guess it makes a picture for him, is the way he's described it. Because you can't help but ask eventually, like, so what's up with
That'd
the
be
face
a good
thing?
question for him. Has it ever been awkward where you touch someone's face and they get a little too excited about it?
I'm sure probably both ways, in fear and in like or like like peeing themselves or whatever. I mean, he is Stevie Wonder, for Christ's sake.
Wow, I'm traveling, right, and I'm in. I was in Israel, and there was this great aunt of mine. She's like they're telling me she's 104, and so she's saying all this stuff in French because family's all French, and I'm like, what's she talking about? She's saying that she remembers when your grandma was born. I'm like, wow. So she goes and she's blind, man. She can't see nothing. So she starts touching my face, and she's beating the shit out of me, like feeling me. And then she starts laughing. I'm like, what's going on? She goes, she wants to know how long she can hit you in the face until you say
That's awesome, dude.
Lady.
I know. See, we always get it mixed up. We always think like, oh, they're old and frail. No, you know what it is like in my heart, I'm 54. My brother's 57, 58. I'm going around thinking of me as a skateboarding punk rocker, rock and roll roadie dude. Can whip ass pretty good. I'm a tough guy, whatever. And then like I bend over because I dropped my pen. And then all the rest of me reminds me, no, dude, you're like this old dude, man. Your knees hurt, my back's killing me. My brother.
Old dude asked, some of those photos, you're getting in weird positions, or how are you getting some of those?
Well, I've been very lucky. A lot of times when we go to shows, it's to kiss the ring. You go to kind of take the glove on your client to go make a representation for, say, a vendor. A lot of our shows are rider specific. So you're showing up vendors, and every once in a while, almost never, it's because you want to go to a show. And every once in a while, you go there to put a little, like, remind the guys, hey, like you're working so good there, buddy. All right, you know what I mean. The daddy's got to show up once in a while. So, but the big daddy mostly take care of that business. He sells the shows. This is the division of labor in the shop is. This is a very big place. Image is a we've got many locations, but largely how they're set up is there's a big, wide open offices and cubicles and all the awards and, gold and silver records and all that shit, platinum records from all of our contributing people that work here and have done cool things. Yeah. And then about 80%, 70% of the building is concrete. It's all pretty and got furniture and plants. And, my brother's got this big, crazy office with multiple screens and computers everywhere. And he's typing in, selling shows. He sells the shows. He bids up against these festivals, tours, corporate things, big ass weddings. Like, it's crazy up here in the Bay Area because we got a lot of like billionaires because of all the .coms.
Sure.
It's crazy the stuff we do. You got Neil Diamond right behind you. That guy, we did a show, a whole tour sold out in 27 minutes. Neil Diamond and around, one of the best singer-songwriters in the world.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, like we just grew up in a weird time. Our playlist, our set list was shit like Neil's and Croft and Sex Pistols in the cars. You know what I mean? Like, we just, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Like, we just, we grew up, we were very lucky. We came up natural. There were no schools. No. We just were punk rockers, and we wouldn't leave the show, man. It was
all
like,
right, so let's start that. 1981.
Yeah.
You're working for Black Flag already, or what was the first band? And you guys worked together?
The first show that I ever got paid any money. So the way it works out, right? If you want to talk band, first we kind of stopped and wouldn't leave the shows at this place called the Club, and then the American Legion Hall, and these really like crappy places in Central California.
Yeah.
And it was right in the height of what's called hardcore punk rock. So it's a different movement. It's like post Sex Pistols, a little grungy, a little tougher, a little, more pissed off, and really cool bands like, Sex Pistols and Discharge, Exploited, and Black Flag. And of course, we would go to these shows 2-3 a week, and we're really lucky. This week was flying off. And we would tend to not leave places, and we'd stay and we'd help pack the truck or, twist up the cables. But we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We got it wrong more times than we did. And sometimes they'd give us some beer for helping out. Sometimes they'd give us some shit. Sometimes they'd give us beer and pizza. Now, the first time somebody said, dude, it was Oakland Colosseum Arena. And it was Discharge headlining, Bad Brains, right before them, the Lewd, Circle One, the Farts. And it was like, that's like a crazy show. That's like seeing Led Zeppelin and Judas Priest and like all this crazy. So we're there, and I get fucking paid $20. He drove like 4 of us up there, like $20 and pizza and like all the beer, a red cup, a solo cup, as much beer as you could drink out of. Yeah. And working for fucking the Bad Brains, loading in and out the Bad Brains, Yeah.
Did you run the snake the wrong way?
Yeah. We were doing feed. I remember that night, and I had to get it all wrong, and I got pissed off. And but that was, by the way, that was a big part of us coming up. It was like the older dudes were, well, first of all, they're real precious about the skill. They didn't want everybody to know what they did because they wanted to be the dude, Sure. And when they did start sharing with you, then you were led into some tribe, but the fucking expectations were high. So it wasn't uncommon if you shit to bed somewhere, like a wedge would come across the stage at you. Like they'd throw shit at you. Like you got to watch out for like an MS-25, like a big fucking, triangle stand coming at your head, or at minimum like a 58. Somebody chucking a 58 was not uncalled. That was a normal day.
Well, it's a cheap mic, so fuck it.
No, but okay. I couldn't agree more. But I've never had one more universally accepted in the business across since I'm in the damn thing. What is it, 69 to now, Mike?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a workhorse, buddy. I did on my show in the 3rd episode. We were trying early on, let's have some gags to we fucking roasted a chicken with some moving lights and a Sharpie. The whole, the myth, can you roast a chicken with a park can? Well, we did it on the show. Yeah, you can, totally. And then we were seeing if you could hammer nails with a Shure and it still work. And so, of course, we took a Barra mic and we did that and it broke the mic. So then we fucking took a Shure and went 58 and then we did a couple more minutes of the show on the Shure. It was perfect, stupid shit like that. So that's a workhorse. That's a mic.
Photos of gigs back then? Or did that come later?
Yeah, not as much. So back then, do you remember? It was Polaroids, and we had those little box cameras, those shitty box cameras, and everything was so out of focus. We got lucky. Some of the times, the photo thing is you kind of got to get to a certain place. You can't really be an SE, a systems engineer or an ATU. We run around taking photos. That shit doesn't work. You got to be kind of up in the management place to be able to get a place. And then you got to
get you in trouble too.
Yeah, because I'm going to let them know that. So there's a thing. You've probably noticed my photos. Either sometimes you can see who it is, and a lot of times you can't. And I'm showing you the gear. I'm showing you a wide shot.
But there's a lot of action shots.
Yeah. Well, that's my favorite, right? And if you see a couple of nights in a row and you kind of get a hint where what's up and where the guy's going to do the same shit, you just kind of be ready, It's like knowing it's just like mixing a song, right?
Sure.
where the
We
punch it
were-
up and make it go, where to push on the gas.
We were out on tour with a particular artist who was doing a comeback, and they were using a particular PA that we were the only company who had this PA.
Oh yeah, you can tell them this one, yeah.
So the president of this speaker manufacturer somehow manages to get into a closed sound check. I mean, even the security, everybody's cleared from this arena, right? This amphitheater. Well, and it's clearly stated everywhere. Matter of fact, at the door, they had these containers that you'd put your iPhone in, so you couldn't take pictures with your phone. Well, he just starts blip, blip, blip. He's got an actual, like a Nikon with the big old lens, and he's blah, 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 blah.
And he's a friend. Don't get us wrong, but yeah, you don't do that.
The performer, she sees this going on, and she just goes side stage to her stage manager, who in fact goes to the production manager, goes to the tour manager, who goes to security.
She goes, bring that guy backstage. If he has a big camera, he might have a big.
No, they ended up taking the camera and busting it into.
They carried him out.
Oh, no way.
They busted the camera.
They lifted him up in the air and carried him out like these mammoth human beings.
Four-cornered him.
Like the guys are so big, like the entourage for this band. I don't even care. Why can't we? We'll just tell them who it is. Who cares?
Yeah, it was Janet Jackson.
Yeah, it was Janet Jackson. So working with the Jacksons, dude, is a listen. This band's this operation has been in place for 50 years. It is so honed in, brother.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like you got to come totally correct, like 100% correct.
Well, needless to say,
that one's a stupid old school. No, everybody knows you don't get pictures of Janet Jackson in sound check. She's not in fucking costume. She don't look her best. Like you're gonna let you have your what?
So the next thing you know, I'm heading to the production office, and I says to Chris, the production manager, I says, that doesn't have any reflection on me, does it?
No.
Yeah.
And he goes, of course not. You just bought the speakers on behalf of us. And because these are the speakers we wanted, it's not your fault that the guy doesn't understand the politics. And I said,
I think they like the loudspeakers. They just didn't.
they
dig
love
the
the
guy
speakers.
too much.
They still use the speakers.
Yeah, it's a great system.
Cool.
But
we all make mistakes, it's one of those days.
Yeah, maybe the guy didn't know better, but he learned after he lost his camera.
Oh, dude, this guy's been in that to be because I'm giving him all the breaks I can, but no, he's in the business 40 years, man. He's like an old, like dude, his resume is crazy.
A pioneer.
I think that might have been the reason that the word pioneer, my brother just used, that's a reasonable word. That's a fair word. That's why we're not naming his ass. Okay, but he's a friend. He's not a bad guy. He super funny and stupid and goes to the point about what if you didn't get to come all circle it back around. It's because of the photography. Photography can be very tricky. Doing this for Tool, it took me 2 years to get permission to be able, and even then it's approved stuff. I have to share it with them if they want to use it for anything. They never do, but if they did, it's theirs. You know what I mean? Like that. So, but that's an honor, dude. Because like, I don't always, in this business, as you probably know, you don't get to work with the band, your favorite band. That doesn't how it works. You take the work, man. My speakers don't discriminate. When my brother shows his show, no, it's not the first thing I'm asking to choose the band. It's like, all right, how much equipment do we need? What's it going to take to put this show on? And I'd break it down on this side of the wall, Yeah. He hammers out all that other shit. And then we go, oh, look, we're working for St. Vincent or working for Devo or working. And that makes it kind of fun, we get out there and like check it. But, at our age, man, we don't go to a lot of shows. We love the music. I'm a music fiend.
Yeah, this last season,
you did a lot of, you were
this
out
last
a lot,
season,
buddy.
I was at probably 50 shows.
That's odd for you. That is very odd for him.
It's odd for
Joel.
me, but this year I thought it was necessary, us being away from the public for 15 months.
Yeah.
So all of our big shows we did this year, which was quite a few.
Yeah.
Billy Idol, I went to every show, and I either stage managed or production managed, or just was in the production office with the producer or the promoter the whole time. And the stadium shows that we did, I never left. Like I'd be there for 4 days and never sleep, and just to make sure that everything went without a hitch.
Well, he couldn't come back not sound image, like so what he's describing is normally we're much more, we got a lot of time under our belt, so we don't usually react. We're always very precious about the work and being make sure the customer, that's the person giving us a check, that's the audience, that's the customer, everybody, the artist, get what they came for. But this most recently is we're getting back on our feet, and when we get totally hit like a freight train with like crazy amount of shows, taxed right to the limit. I got him in the field. Normally that wouldn't be necessarily the case, so on and so forth. It's a lot, and we don't want to let people down. So there's firstly nowadays, this business is very expensive. There's a lot of money being thrown around. It's not what it was in the 80s and the 90s. This is a whole different thing. And so there's a lot riding on it, and we won't really care about getting it right. Then you think about being employers and being management, and you got people to keep care of and do things. And we cherish that role, that they trust us to pull the shit together and make it happen. We trust them to bring their cool ass skills. The kids nowadays are a trip, man. They're so not like what we were when we were 30, man. We were like hell on wheels. They were crazy. Like, no, these are like sharp kids. They're smart. Seems to be a lot of drug problems. They're pretty astute, and it's fun, because we're all in the.
I was a certifiable dipshit. I'm gonna make it real clear. I was
we all were.
I was terrible,
dude. My brother has always been more mature than his age. He's always had like weird sense of like direction and shit. He's just a strange cat, like super smart. But fucking we all were like way, the smartest guy in the room at 30. Just ask us, we'll tell you. Like that's super normal shit.
Kind of,
push through. But you don't know what you don't know till you wait till you get like 50, 55. Like you start like reflecting on shit. You start saying stuff your parents said. Like, dude, I'm as rock and roll as it gets, and I catch myself with like my daughter and humans like that, my wife, saying shit like you just never imagine you would say, it's
eat your Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, literally, I don't have a better one to top of it. It's kind of just like that. Yeah, it's super strange.
All right, so back in the day, you guys are still in the punk scene. This is way back. And did you guys ever work with Dave Rad in the early days with the punk stuff?
I did.
Yeah, I didn't work with David, but I listen. Dave Rad's a goddamn legend. Like what he does in his speaker design, his loudspeaker design, and his take. He's got some of the best videos on TV, on YouTube. Some of his classes and explanations of compression and RF and all. And the shit. Oh my God, Dave Rad's a legend. But my brother had the closest relationship. But to me, he's always been some mild form of competition for something I was doing.
Yeah,
I just love all that early punk stuff, and I know he was doing a lot of those shows in the beginning.
Yeah, adolescent stuff. And
I listen to the Dead Boys all day today.
They rip.
Yeah, he and Karrie were a team. Karrie Keys were a team. Back in I want to say the early 80s, right when the Yamaha like 2408s and the MC series was coming out, and everybody thought it was sliced bread. I remember he came through with, I think it was Social Distortion at the Catalyst in Santa Cruz. And I was working for a company called Independent Audio Monterey Peninsula, IAMP.
I saw that. That's a really short name. It's a great name for a company.
Isn't it a great name, dude?
Yeah.
SOS is another one. We work for Sound on Stage. We work at SIP, Sound Image Productions. Yeah, we're good with abbreviations. Go with it, Dad. Tell me.
So anyway, I get the call that they needed some supplemental stuff. So I drove it up, and I ended up mixing the opener and carrying on with Karrie and Dave, which started a long relationship. I ended up being the substitute for Chili Peppers and Social D and Adolescence. So, because he would take on more than he could chew, especially when bands would be overlapping. I would get that. I would get those calls, and I'd go out and I'd mix those bands.
The old punk rock days, it was all hands on deck, man. You did it all. You know what I mean? You drove the truck, you collected the money, you fucking tuned the bass, you loaded it, you pushed, you got like the throat coat for the good singer who couldn't sing, you got the towels.
Yeah, there was a point
there. You just did everything, dude. You just
real like work. Super random here. I don't know. But since you love your photography, did you ever wear Eddie Culver? Because he took a lot of.
You're talking about the punk rock photographer for Thrasher and a bunch of. He did Maximum Rock and Roll. He's so we were punk rock skaters mainly, fucking kind of the original wave of hardcore and California punk rock. And so we had a really wonderful scene with the skateboarding, the surfing, and the cities between a kind of rivalry between LA and San Francisco. And there was two very distinctive things going on, but somehow the music would bring us together. But it wasn't uncommon for a band like 45 Grave or TSOL to come up from OC or Wasted Youth or something like that to come, or Circle Jerks or Black Flag to come up to San Francisco and bring like 30 of their dudes. And like when we first came here, when my brother first came here, we got up here like on a Tuesday, and I rolled up there on a Thursday, and I'm a kid, man, now, mind you. And who was it, bro? It was some punk rock bands playing, but people are pogoing still. They're still pogoing. They're still punk rock.
Are you
pogoing.
talking about at that Lake Aristero?
No, I was talking about up in the city. First time we went up.
Oh, when we went to the Elite Club in Gary.
Was that Toiling Midgets and 45 Grave, Fang? You've heard these bands. There's a band called Free Beer, which is awesome to have that on a poster. So many people there getting free beer.
Yeah. It was this building was the old Jim Jones
Guyana Temple. That's right. The
No
temple
way.
first.
It
was,
was,
dude. They turned it into fucking this cool big ass punk rock club called the Elite Club.
And we got kicked out that night.
Yeah.
And Fear was headlining.
That's punk rock band in the whole wide world.
And we're getting kicked out the back door.
No, we're sitting on the curb, man. We've already been kicked out, and the fucking van pulls up, like this beautiful Ford Econoline van, like this beautiful like 10-seat or 12-seat or whatever it was. And the doors open, and I'm like bummed out. Like I'm super bummed. We've been thrown the fuck out for being too gnarly. And see Philo Kramer and fucking Spit Sticks, and leaving. And I'm like, I run up to Philo. I'm like, Philo, they kicked us out, buddy. What? This totally sucks. We weren't even doing nothing. He's like, dude, just stand behind us and walk in like you own the place. And so we
all did.
Yeah. So we got back in. 45 Grave was wrapping up. Dinah Cantor was up there doing her crazy shit. She was so good, man. I love Dinah
Misfits were playing that night too, because Lorna hit that kid in the head with the bass.
Yeah, well, so it was just, there was like so many fun, odd memories back then. This was a very organic thing. Your country was cool. There was dudes that were trying to beat me up because I was a little punk rocker that later on became punk rockers, like they later got down, but early on, it was like the Stoners hated us, the Jocks hated us, the Cowboys hated us, like every fucking, of course, the Hispanics hated us. We're down in Southern Cal getting our asses handed to us like daily. And it wasn't just a thing, man. If you were going to be in the game, you were going to fight like constantly.
But the transition to that is we had this little lanai in our backyard, and I had this PD console that had knobs big enough around that you had to walk to turn them, and our parents were really supportive, and we'd have these really shitty bands like practicing in our lanai until the neighbors complained, so our mom let us move it into the garage. And I don't know how it happened. It was the band Paris.
Oh wow, that's a random pull. That was the guy from Jethro Tull was in it.
It was fucking there. It's like a hair metal band,
And I got the call.
What was that?
They were playing at a place in Pasadena, and it was Paris and Monolith, and Monolith at the time was Van Halen.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, we'll go do some rock and roll, Next thing you know, we're punk rock kids doing rock and roll shows. It was weird, man. And the next thing you know, we're actually making $75 a night, and we're actually sharing a hotel room and getting like fucking after show food. And we're like, hey, man, this rock and roll shit, man.
This is good.
They're paying us, and
this
is cool. And
dumbest shit they ever did, giving us money. We straight up got up in the periodic table like crazy people, just for like
we're making $600 a week.
Yeah, we were in the super naughty, and like seriously, dude, we did like hundreds and hundreds of shows with many different bands, many different ways. Sometimes freelancing, sometimes working for IAMP or Sound Image or
back then it was Sound on Stage.
Sound on Stage. It depends. I guess.
And third year, because then we migrated north.
Yeah.
And we ended up being like working for all the local bands
Yeah, but local bands in San Francisco is like, Journey and, like it's, the pickings are pretty
Santana,
good
Van
up here.
Morrison,
Ever do any Tower of
Yeah,
Power
it's-
stuff?
Oh my God, stop it. Stop it, dude. That's like a weekend. You just have to do that. Come on.
So
what was that, their 50th
we
anniversary?
just did their 50th for Home
Yeah,
Depot.
dude, it was crazy, man.
We did their 50th anniversary.
Mind Seed Studios.
Yeah, we rehearsed for
I
I think we rehearsed for 2.5, 3 weeks. And then we moved the whole rig down to the Fox Theater and we shot for 4 nights.
I think it was build 2 nights. Build Terror, so in, Joe show out.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I
we shot a
remember.
5-camera shoot.
Extraordinary. Everybody and their mother showed up.
Yeah, it was every member of the
It's
band.
crazy, and like all these, like like fucking, wasn't it Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson and all
Yeah.
it's just wacky. The people like from the Bay Area.
Well, you should have seen who was at front of
grew
house.
up with these guys.
Tom Consolo, the band's manager, who's also Sammy Hagar's manager, and REO Speedwagon and a bunch of other people's manager. Every band that he managed had the band out at front of house, and I'm system engineering for Mike Droke, who mixed it. And he, Mike Droke from Babyface, and he's got a laundry list. I think right now he's doing Diana Ross. It was insane. Every member of the band that ever played in the band that's still alive performed on that stage. There must have been 40 people on the stage.
I had Emilio. I had Emilio on here, and I had him on with Angelo from Fishbone. And so Emilio was saying how he never got to play with Prince, and he was talking about how they were supposed to play. It just didn't happen. He was supposed to play, and then Angelo was like, "I played with Prince a couple times."
Angelo, dude. Angelo, he doesn't. That guy, I swear to God, he can't stop himself, man. He's got like a mild case of Tourette's. He rules.
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I've seen those guys in like 10 different iterations.
Well, they're both.
That's why I brought it up, because both bands have had
they
so
like
many
changed
people
so
in them.
much. Yeah, they can't. Weird shit's happened to those both of them. But
Emilio Castillo is the one who's actually kept,
Him and Doc
he
are the
can say
ones
he's
that
played
forever.
with,
He had
like-
some great stories. He's a great guy, a gentleman, a real class act, neat guy.
He's a pro, dude. He's a total pro. And he could say he's fucking played with Sly Stone, though. And I love people say that shit. All right, because talk about original hard ass, just East Bay hard cool guy. That's Sly Stone. Yeah, he rules.
Well, it was they did a song about James Brown, and they had to play it in front of James Brown, and he was like, "Oh, this is gonna be really awkward."
It's called I'm still digging James Brown.
Yeah, he was a national goddamn treasure. He's still alive. Alive. He had some down times there. He was living in a van for a minute, but he's pulling back up. He just won this big case for like 115,000 on some royalties. And so
you're talking about Sly.
Sly, yeah. They were saying Sly was a DJ, a big DJ.
Sly has been a little bit of everything, but literally he spent like 10 years living in a van down by the river in LA.
That's rough. It's amazing. Like that guy,
Chris Farley's neighbor.
I know, right? Come on, man.
Nuts.
I mean, that catalog is so foundational to music today, to just great music.
Great.
And it's singular, it's the funk nature of that man's music, and the way you put those bands together is it's not really one band. Extraordinary. Absolutely.
What was your guys' first nationwide tour?
Oh shit, Glass Spider, maybe?
No, that was my third. My first one was with Eddie and the Tide on Bruce Hornsby's long range tour.
You said international tour.
Oh, no, I said nationwide.
Okay. Well, that's all right. Yeah, that's good.
Don't you correct me.
Eddie and the Tide was sorry. Well, I want to be accurate. Eddie and the Tide was one of our earliest bands at Co Records, that's Atlantic Records. They were a signed band. Eddie Money was our producer. That's how we moved over to him.
Right.
This band kicked ass. They had one song called "She's the One" or "One in a Million."
Yeah.
These songs were they sold like 460,000 albums, singles respectively. They just missed gold, but we could open up for anybody.
We did,
especially with being linked up with other Atlantic Records acts.
Right.
And so fucking that was our first we're like little punkers, like we're gonna leave the home now. We're gonna leave this like 3-4 shows a week, known shit between this little stomping guys we got. and we're gonna get taken out. Almost as like a curious notion.
Well, it happened that I was mixing that band at a festival.
Yeah.
And
people always like what you could do, man.
And then the producer for this band called the Stabilizers was mixing the Stabilizers, who was one of 4 one-offs they were doing before the Glass Spider tour with Bowie. And he did I'll send you a plane ticket. We'll do 24 months, blah, 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 blah. I didn't believe a word he said.
Yeah, I heard that before.
I didn't believe a word he said. 2 weeks later, literally a FedEx showed up with a ticket to rehearsals in LA. And
you got to come down now.
And I was, shit, I better go get a passport.
No.
Next thing I know, we're doing 6 continents. And before I knew it, I was not mixing Stabilizers. I was mixing Souxsie and the Banshees, and then I wasn't mixing Souxsie and the Banshees. I was mixing Bowie.
This is the good old days of the package tour.
And then the production manager, who I'd probably have to say had the most influence on my career and my life.
Who?
Gentleman by the name of Benny Collins,
man, legend, Madonna.
Rolling Stones,
The Journey. We came up with him with Journey, and of course Michael Jackson.
Yeah, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. Stop.
Wow, what a list, huh?
Yeah, and
he took a shine. He took a shine to us.
Yeah, he was the best.
After that, wherever he went, whatever band brought him on, he took us with him. And
very lucky.
So we came back home and went to work for a local sound company, and we would just come and go with Benny. And then
David Bowie had to be a highlight, though. I mean,
Nile Rodgers was on that one. That was great.
Yeah.
And talk about watching a full legend up there with a full other legend.
Yeah.
Like,
who?
Nile Rodgers, guitarist.
Oh yeah, wow.
It was probably one of the best producers I've ever lived.
Nile and Peter Frampton.
Yeah, it was sick, dude. It was
Nile Rodgers is Madonna too, right? Didn't he do all the Madonna stuff?
I don't know about all, but he's like Nile Rodgers is he's a black funk god, like in his own. He's come up with like you just research Nile Rodgers, dude. I can't explain this to you enough. He's got I don't know how many Grammys. He's written so many songs for so many artists, but the best part about Nile Rodgers is the shit that Nile Rodgers did in his band. Check it out. It'll blow your mind. You're gonna know a bunch of it. You're gonna be like, no way. This is Nile Rodgers. Like you're gonna see. Like, oh fuck it.
Yeah, it was a great band. It was also Peter Frampton playing guitar.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And it was Nathan Eastman playing bass, and believe it or not, Tony Thompson from Brazil '66 playing drums.
That's talk about a bunch of hired guns, man.
And then it was the Vine Street Horns, which were from Genesis. And
love Genesis.
It was just an amazing band. It was 3 hours a night of one hit after another.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
And
I was a sucker for horns anyways. I don't care.
We were out 27 months on that one.
Whew,
yeah, so that was different too back then. You just don't tour like that nowadays. The tours are very, very different. The country ones can be a little more spread out and full like that. But now nobody's taking those kind of numbers anymore. You can see Lady Gaga did one for 24 months and she brought in like 210 and 205 million respectively.
Right.
It's a cool 415.
Yeah, and she's dating a roadie.
Yeah. She's a real deal.
One of our guys is in.
Yeah. She's true real talent. Like, some people are born to be rock stars. David Bowie's born to be a rock star.
He was born cool.
It's the NYG,
like James
man.
Dean, man.
Yeah, James Dean was whatever.
Did you guys have, so you're watching Bowie the first time and you're like, fuck, this guy is way cooler than I ever thought. And I loved him and like, what's going on here?
I got a story for you.
I always was like fucking, I always like shit not David Bowie, but I always knew enough that David Bowie was a fucking animal. Like he overcome any genre or idea that his music, Major Tom and all that good shit was just, it's its own thing. You know what I mean? Like it just stands by itself. It's not rock and roll. It's David Bowie.
I mean, the production value of writing, whatever, I don't know, like all that stuff, the geeky stuff, amazing. But then even down to where he died, didn't tell anybody, came out with that album right before he died. I mean, just like
private guy,
could be a bigger rock star. What could be better?
No, he was the coolest. He was married to like models, and he was like, he fucking alternatively hung out with Iggy Pop and played piano for him. Wouldn't let him like put out the fact that he was on that tour at all, like crazy shit. Like he was a real fan, like you know what I mean. But he was also extraordinarily private.
Well, he was also very
guy.
cool.
Yeah,
like I said, I was going to tell a story.
Okay, what's your story?
I was going down to, I was placing my microphones, and David never ever came out for sound check, right? And so I'm placing my mics, and I'm on Tony's kit, and I'm doing my thing, and I hear, "Well, somebody give me a Coke." And I look up, and just out of instinct, I turn around. I says, "Do I look like a fucking caterer to you?" And it was David, and I went,
"Would you like one Coke or two, sir?"
I go, "Diet or regular?" He goes, "No, that was the best answer I've ever heard. I like you. What's your name?"
Yeah,
great.
Shit like that.
I thought for sure I was fired. But I said, "Do I look like a fucking caterer to you?"
The grumpy roadie. Yeah, the grumpy sound guy thing is real, dude. It's super real.
The punk came out in you, man. The punk came out.
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm doing my fucking job here, and you're talking about a fucking Coke.
Yeah,
get somebody else to get you a fucking
it's
Coke,
a silly
man.
It's a silly question on the premise of it, like get your own damn Coke. Are you kidding me? Like, no, anyways, that's always been the rule for us. There's certain guys, dealing with Prince, you're just, even if you got like all the principles in the world, we're all backstage and we're just at work, and then nobody's better than anybody else, like thing that I kind of roll with normally. There's a couple guys in the game, like Stevie Ray was like that. Stevie Ray Vaughan. You're Stevie Ray Vaughan, man. You're just gonna like back up and fucking watch and wonder,
Yeah, if they
like,
tell you to shit in the corner, you do.
Yeah. Like, right, yeah. Yeah, Steve was the best, man. Like, fucking, I can't even tell you, man. Like, it was a trip. We did a couple with him and BB King together, and he loved BB.
Oh,
like,
come on. You're just like dropping them like nothing. But BB, so you're hanging out with BB King and Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah. I scratched Lucille, bro. I fucking Lucille at the time, I think it was Lucille 58. It was his 58th is Lucille.
What was BB King's drink of choice?
He liked Jack and Coke. Yeah, I remember.
But he played sitting down.
Oh, well, yeah, at the end there, we have to help. Like, okay, Trip, imagine this. So, like, he was so frail to get him to the stool so he could sit and play. So he would help him, right?
Yeah.
And he would like just be moving like 6 inches at a time. Then he'd sit down and he'd straighten his shit up and he'd get his strap right. And then he'd just start like
destroying,
frailing like out these leads.
The first thing you would say,
crazy.
The first thing you would say,
it's like a whole different guy.
First thing you would say is shut off the monitors and shut off the front fills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't like it when you were trying to peel up anybody's face.
All he wanted to hear was the PA coming off the back wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Old school.
Yeah, well, he played with his eyes closed for the most part, right? So he felt that shit. And you could see it in his face, like his face would contort like Dizzy Gillespie's, man. It was crazy. And that's the other
you
thing.
Guys have any sessions with him talking to Stevie Ray?
Well, I mean, sure, that was a thing, especially in, their sound checks. And those guys were like students of each other. So it wasn't uncommon for them. And the blues guys in the blues scene, first of all, you got to remember in real time, it wasn't very popular, bro. There wasn't like these big scenes. He was like, he'd play like Texas and Oklahoma and get good houses. You know what I mean? Like it was a Southern States thing. It's not the way you remember it, because in real time, they were not as appreciated as they are now, or as they would be in a larger kind of way. So, but we all knew we were around like, gods, particularly BB King. I mean, BB King, BB King is heavy. I remember feeling that way about Fats Domino. It was just like, yeah, you're Fats. I remember the only time I was really starstruck though was a much more modern artist, but still old school. It was Gregg Allman. Like fucking Gregg Allman, like tripped me out, dude. We were doing this thing for Toys for Tots on it. Was like
it was ARF.
It was like a benefit. It was being broadcast. This is like in the 90s, early 90s. Like it's being broadcast on the radio, real big, wide market, And so we're in San Francisco City at the Hard Rock Cafe, and like Joe Satriani's just played, Chris Isaak's just played, like, and this guy M Dung is on K-Fog radio. It's like a big deal. And like fucking, I'd go take a pee real quick. I'd leave the board, I'd go take a pee. And it's just the place is big, but the bathrooms were small. And I'm using the urinal, and in comes Gregg Allman, who's going to be on next. And he's like 6'6", and he's a huge man. and he's got this big, huge lion's mane of hair. And he's wearing a trench coat, and a beard. Like he's like Gandalf or some shit. I don't know. It's just weird, you know. And I don't like I've hung out with a lot of heads, and I don't really trip out too much. But I'm sitting there and I'm peeing, I kind of looking up, and he's peeing, and I'm like, wow, dude, you fuck Cher. And he's like, yeah, I did that. Yeah.
Before the plastic suit. Actually, I should be careful. I like Cher. It can't be me.
Cher is a badass, dude. Cher's a legend, man. Like, yeah, we all could disagree or agree about her choices in some of her healthcare regimes, but like,
yeah, but it's hard, you know, it's hard to talk shit about the people you really like. You could be a bit of a smart ass, but like,
yeah, no, do it with love, right? Like, you can Cher's a little bit in on the joke. I'll tell you right now, she's not stupid. She knows she's like went to the knife one too many times, but Cher is like a 70-year-old mad dog killer. Like seriously, to achieve Cher's status, Cher is a triple threat, bro. That is a hard thing to achieve in the game. To be able to like be an Academy Award winning actress multiple times, to be a friggin' extraordinary singer and performer. She can dance, she can tell jokes, she's in skits. Fuck, dude, Cher rips, man.
Rips.
Like, do I own a Cher album? No. Do I respect the fuck out of Cher? Oh yeah.
Yeah, but Mask you can watch over and over again. You got the ugly kid, but you can watch Cher for hours, man. She is.
I was thinking more Silkwood, and the other one where she's Snap Out of It, the Italian one, bro, with Nick Cage. Oh, that's fucking great, man. I love that fucking movie. Mikey, what is it? We don't know, but it's a really great movie, and it's super New York Italian, and like they nail it. Like, she kills it in that, dude. Yeah.
I was taking a plane trip back from Memphis, and I was in first class, and this fucking basketball player is in the seat next to me with his handler, and I'm on the aisle seat, and Gregg is on the window seat, and Gregg is hammered drunk.
Gregg Allman, right, Gregg?
Yeah. And he passes out, and he's like fucking falling over on me, right?
He's a big dude too, dude. He's like 260.
And I keep pushing him over on me, and the basketball player is getting the biggest kick out of it, right? And I forget what the basketball player's name was.
It doesn't matter. It's a music podcast. We don't care about basketball guys.
Yeah, right.
So true.
And he goes, who is that big motherfucker? And I said, his name's Gregg Allman. And he goes, is he famous? And I'm like, yeah, dude, a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's like, he goes, well, you going to keep tolerating that shit? I said, well, what do I do? Fucking smack a rock star who's going to get up and beat the shit out of
me? He would kill you.
And he goes, and he says to his keeper, he says, switch seats with the man. And I'm like, nah, man, I can't do that with you. He goes, I told you, switch seats with the man. So his keeper fucking switches seats with me. And Gregg's not exactly, he's from the South. Let's just say that.
Definitely.
So you put a small, skinny black guy next to him when he wakes up, and it was an interesting rest of the flight. Let me just tell you.
What did he say? He's like, who the hell are you?
Well, no, when he woke up, he was like, why is there a black man next to me?
Yeah, but in a slower Southern draw, like, why is there this black man next to me now? What the hell?
We switched back. And I wasn't there with Gregg.
You were sleeping.
It was just, I just so happened to be in first class and the chair next to him. You know what I mean?
Funny.
Yeah.
It was a trip.
So Chris Isaak, you mentioned Chris Isaak. He's a NorCal guy. Were you guys doing shows with him way back when he in the?
So Chris Isaak. So Chris Isaak doesn't come by himself. He comes with Kenny. Kenny's his drummer.
Yeah.
So they're like the Laurel and Hardy. Okay, like they're like hilarious. They
University of Pacific.
Oh my God, dude! They go out of their way to make you comfortable. To make you. It's a kind of Southern Central California thing that he's come through. It's like a Stockton Bakersfield thing.
Stockton, University of Stockton.
He used to be like a boxer, man. That's why his nose is the way it is, right?
Chris Isaak?
Yeah, dude, he's that guy can throw down, like, seriously.
Huh, but he's he's
one of the better surfers that's out at Mavericks and off of the surfs up here in North Beach and shit. So yeah, no, he's a local boy. He lives out here now, and but he's just the sweetest guy ever. And I'll tell you what, brother. Now listen, I listen to a lot of hard shit, Discharge, and just if it's pretty gnarly and Venom and crazy. It's I'm listening to it. But I also love me some Sade and some, music has a time and a place. It's some Duran. I don't give a shit. Some, like I said earlier, season cuts. Dude, Chris Isaak,
Amazing.
like Katie Lang, like you play that shit, man. His music is so clean and so right. Like
what's that album? Something Blue? Something.
Dude, Forever Blue. That album is so good, dude.
There's not a song on there that anybody would skip.
No. And San Francisco, like there's so many. The first 3 albums of his, if you don't know, you should know. You need to know. Okay, one's called Silvertone. I forget the other 2. I wish I could tell them. I'll send them down to you. These things are works of art, but most best. They're great Sunday morning music, and they're great dancing slow with your girl, trying to, throw up that good vibe.
I was just gonna say,
my girl doesn't like to dance with me.
Sex movie.
Well, I'm telling you, dude, it is totally like there's sex music, like Queens of Stone Age, great friends of mine. I love that band. That's rock and roll sex music. That is totally I want to get you in bed music. Like Barry White, that's rhythm and blues sex music. You got a Deep to Love Unlimited Orchestra. That is Barry White.
You must have a crazy sex life. You've got
dude. But fucking,
what kind of night are we having? Hon? We got
keep it on the down low in the Caucasian lane. You break out Chris Isaak, man. You just he goes into a deep cool. That's what. What
about BB King live at the Regal? Is that good sex music?
No, not
I'm
at
gonna
all.
say
Not
no
even
too,
kind of.
yeah.
That's like a whole different vibe. That's like I don't even know how to explain that. But BB King,
that's a big fat joint.
Yeah, and like you get in your head with that, and you feel that in your bones. You know what I mean? Like
he was my door opener, man. I started listening to him because it had that heavy rock influence. It was really easy to start listening to the blues with BB King, and I was listening to a lot of it. And then I found out about this guy named John Lee Hooker.
Yeah, he's fucking
everything else I had, everything, and I was John Lee Hooker for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I just couldn't get enough of it, man. And then Sonny Boy Williamson, Big Bill Brunsey. So kind of like, it's those gateway drugs of actually Nirvana, man. Nirvana covered this guy called Leadbelly. Who's Leadbelly? So I started looking up. I'm like, who's Leadbelly? This guy is like amazing,
Yeah.
Those wonderful door. So, okay, tell me about Nirvana. I know you did Nirvana stuff. That's
we came up with I came up first with these guys. I lost a fucking couple front teeth with Scream. Scream is where Dave Grohl comes from. So Scream's a punk rock band out of DC. They're in a tour. They played this thing we were doing, and they needed.
Who's this Dave Grohl guy you speak of?
He's this dude. He plays drums and stuff, and he's a pretty good guy. Like people say, he's not a bad guy. And but he was just like a little kid with acting like the rest of us, but totally loved punk rock. He just lived and breathed music. Couldn't even care less where he landed. He'd sleep in the kitchen or on the floor in my kitchen and shit.
So you knew him before? You knew him in Scream?
In Scream, yeah. He was a drummer for Scream, and the
so
Franz
Scream
brothers,
is Seattle or where's
no. Dave was born and raised in Virginia. So Virginia, just outside of DC, the DC punk rock scene is Scream, Minor Threat, SOA, Teen Idols, right? It's dude, yeah. It's that's so that's the whole straight edge boneheads and all that. But to his credit, he never got into that. It was never his thing. Regardless, so he ran off and we went different ways, and we went off with the rock bands, the mid-sized rock bands, the Gregg Kinns and the Tina Turner shit back in the day. And he went off, and we didn't see him again until he was drumming for Nirvana and in Utro, the In Utro tour. So that's fucking Butthole Surfers. That's the hell was that comic's name? Bob Goldcat, Bob
Goldthwait.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
I love
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Bobcat's the man. Yes.
Yeah, Bobcat Goldthwait.
So he was the MC. Now, man. He made a whole career.
Yeah. He was a trip, man.
Yeah. He's so funny.
Back in the day, you could see now there's Frances Bean and there's Courtney Love. And you could see it all right in front of you. It was, dude, you ever just know something is going to be a way it's going to be, and then it becomes that, and you're like, I could have told you that. Matter of fact, I think I did tell you that. Yeah, that was what we did.
So what's it like for you? So you like this band Scream? Were you a fan of Scream?
Scream rip, dude. There's an album they've got out called It Came Without a Warning. Okay, now if you're a fan of punk rock music, get the album. It Came Without a Warning. And they had this bass player named Skeeter, this black guy. Dude, he was so good. This band shredded, man. I like the earlier version of Scream before Dave took over for Kent, this drummer named Kent. Fucking really cool. He was an English cat. But regardless, they were one of those rare bands that had always had like this extremely great rhythm section, because in punk rock that wasn't always a thing. Like it was pretty not uncommon to have some shitty drummers and bass guitarists that couldn't play leads, like some very rudimentary stuff. So when a band like Germs would come out and put on this powerhouse of an album like GI, it was it was a real thing. Like that shit would move you. Like Fear, the album, for the record, that album is a production wet dream. It is crazy how good that thing is. We're talking 1980, 81, and this full-on hardcore Philadelphia punk band that just does not give a shit. It's got one of the most polished, kick-ass, fucking worked over albums I've ever heard. And to this day, I put that thing on and put it up at around 116 dB, and it just says I'm in heaven. I just love
So what's it like? So you're a fan of Scream, and then years later, this dude is like the biggest fucking rock star on the planet. Are you? When you run into him, are you kind of like
we've seen that with like Huey Lewis? We were out with Huey before Huey was Huey Lewis, as you know him. Yeah, no, we've seen that before. Journey, we're just kind of making it big. You know what I mean? Like you get to see transitions of people. We've been a place where you're working for doing 500 seaters, and then you're halfway through a thing, and then the next thing you know, they're booking at like 30,000 seaters because your shit just took up with the help of MTV or something.
It's got to be exciting,
Yeah,
you're part of a groove. You're in the movement. So can you listen to guys on the radio now and be like, Greta Van Fleet, they're going to be huge. Watch this. I mean, it might be too late because they're already on the radio, but
not so much. But we peek in not as much as I'd like to. I know my brother has got he more swings around the radio. I pick shit out, and I've always been lucky to kind of be country for country school. I know I turned my brother on to a lot of shit. But frankly, because he's got his head out in front of what's actually happening in the world, like which bands are we going to bid on? Where are we working? Or who's playing? He knows more about that shit. I would say that I'm more the archivist. I'm a historian of music. I love it.
Did you take photos of Nirvana back in the day?
No, actually, that was back in the day when we were kind of in the paper things, and I was a little bit out of my head, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that was okay. So the sad part is that was sad. That wasn't fun at all. That was traumatic. Like I said to you, we could see
it wasn't fun.
Yeah, dude, we could see what was gonna happen. It was clear as day. Like it was fucking fucked up, man. And the shows were fun. The band was super antagonized promoters everywhere. They wouldn't want to play fucking Teen Spirit, right? So, but they had to contractually, so they fuck it into the ground and just just unrecognizable thing, and then yell out like Teen Spirit, it was it was a circus, man. But Butthole Surfers would come out every night and just own the place.
Tight, man.
Like Gibby Hayes would come out and just with him and his bullhorn and just annihilate the place.
All the stuff that came fun with Dave is when the Foo Fighters.
Yeah, the Foos, so my brothers came late to having children. I'm a grandpa. My kids are already have their kids and went through college, all that. He's got little kids, and fucking his son, my dear little nephew, one of them is Dave Grohl's his godfather.
Oh,
it's
cool.
They're just like dudes touch, dude. Think about it, right? You can't think about him that way. I respect what the guy does. He is one of the sweetest guys in rock and roll. He is one of the most versatile. Some of my favorite bands. He's played with Queens of the Stone Age. He's played with Them Crooked Vultures. He's played with Killing Joke, Cat Power, Scream, fucking the list is endless, right? It's crazy, right? But really, what he is he's he can burn a hot dog like you wouldn't believe, man. And he's great to have a drink with. That guy loves to sit in a bar and just talk shit up
his favorite thing actually is to be with the kids.
Well, he loves the kids, but I'm just saying, right? How many times have we been out with him? This is the thing that happens. I'll relate, and you can't tell me I'm wrong. So say we're doing something at a radio show or some fucking kind of thing for marketing, or maybe it's even we're just going to stop in the studio and record something real quick on the fly, right? You go looking for him and he's missing every time, and somehow coincidentally there's a bar within walking distance of wherever you're at, and that's where you'll find him in there buying drinks for people, smacking backs until he's just that guy, man. He just loves being him, and he's really comfortable with it.
We share the same sushi spot down the street.
Yeah.
The fucking place caught on fire. So Dave and I got no sushi for a while.
That sucks ass. That's too bad, dude. That's super
they're
not
building
good.
it again. It's okay. It's coming back.
Oh yeah, there's good money in sushi.
Yeah, they're coming back. All right. So, question I ask every guest, and I'd be interested to hear your guys' answers. We were talking about kids, and my friends are having little kids now. I'm 45, or 44 actually. And so my friend has a couple daughters, and they're in fifth grade. She was with her fifth grade friends, and they said you need to ask every guest when they first felt famous. So bear in mind, we're talking about little kid. If you don't want to go down the road of fame, totally cool. When would be a time in each of your careers that you guys would select to be a monumental moment for you, a door opener, a life change, or something that just meant something to you? What would each of you guys choose as your first thought?
Take that one, bro.
1987. I believe it was July.
You're out with Bowie.
Yep. And Shea Stadium, 90,000 people.
Tough round.
And I couldn't get the PA over the top of the crowd.
It's a hard place to make sound right. Back then there was limitations on the gear.
Well, but it was like I still had 96 boxes of PA and 415 subs, and I couldn't get the PA over the top of the crowd. And
yeah,
it was just, there was no feeling like that ever.
That's crazy.
And of course, when after the show, I went backstage, and the band said, "How was it?" I said, "I have no idea." And they're like, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "I just did what I normally did, except for I firewalled the outputs, and I still could never hear the PA." And they all just went, "That's all right. We didn't hear ourselves on stage either." So
that's great.
Yeah, that's the Beatle effect, like the Beatles had to play like that. It's a big reason why they left the game. But then we just did a thing right before COVID with the world's largest gay pride thing up in the city there.
Oh, yeah.
And that was 750,000
That was
people.
over 1 million.
Okay. The crazy numbers.
Yeah.
And with the technology that we deployed that day through the whole inner kind of city canyons, you know how it is in those big cities, right? Those concrete canyons. That sound was clean and pure. And that was some Latin, what was that? Katarina or whatever the hell that. Some big artist.
Katrina.
Yeah, I don't even know the artist anymore. Like,
well,
you know what I mean?
She's huge in the LGBT community.
Katrina and the Hurricanes?
Like she's no. This is like an artist that played.
She's an up and coming LGBT.
All I know is, man, like the whole damn planet showed up for this thing.
There was over 1 million people came and saw it.
Absolutely perfect.
And we had put up so much freaking PA, and I'm thinking, why are we doing this?
Yeah, then you found out.
And then that morning, we had chain link fences up for barricade. Around the whole complex, right? There were people with pallets of water along the barricade.
Wow.
Handing over cases just to keep everybody hyped. It was insane. It was absolutely.
This is San Francisco, man, where the weather is pretty.
Yeah, who came up? So LGBT, like, was there a committee? And they were like, it should be L first, then G. Where's some guy like GLBT, and they're like,
no, because you're not wrong. Letters like STP, Stone Temple Pilots, like there's some letters that just sound right next to each other. You know what I mean? TSOL, True Sounds of Liberty, MAD.
I never ever thought about it.
Because you're used to them, though, and that's the
we live in a community where it's that nomenclature is very significant. Because of the freedom that community gets to express in this community.
That they didn't historically weren't able to do without persecution, I think, is the add at the end there.
I'm
my sister is super down with the girls, and we get it. It's been normal in our lives forever. We never thought it was a weird thing.
Well, I just think it's important that
Californians,
there's a place that they don't feel like they can't be themselves.
Yeah, that must suck.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd be a horrible way to live. It's good this way.
It's like you going into you going into a foreign land and everybody criticizing you because you're Caucasian.
It's probably worse than that.
But you get the point.
Oh, absolutely. So
I
don't know. I think we live in a little island over here. I think that's what happens on the left and right coast is we forget. I don't, because if the secret to curing ignorance is travel and curing racism is reading. So like these are not hard things to do. So, we've seen the interior of our states and our country and other places, South America, Central America, of course, North America, and other places. And you get to see that we're not all exactly of the same mind. So it feels like we're in little enclaves, like the 30 miles up the whole of California coast, even to Oregon, you could say there's a group of folks. And then pretty much the same thing down from Boston through to, say, DC on the East Coast. And then there's all the people in between us. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take much in California to start changing your attitude and the way people think pretty dramatically. It's about 30 miles.
It's pretty
chill. Go off the beach. Yeah, it seems you go away from the beach.
You go to 30 miles.
It's 30 miles east. That's it.
And all of a sudden you got the bottom lips full of chew and hunting rifles in the back window.
Well, so we don't know where he stands in his political persuasion, and we're easily judging like a whole group of folks, right? So
I try to not get into politics. It's
you're not wrong. Our parents taught us that. Like, don't talk about religion in public. Don't talk about abortion. There's things we don't talk about.
For what I think doesn't matter. I'm a fucking jackass and the first to admit it, so I wouldn't. But I'm an easy win. If I remember preaching somebody like, you need to vote for this guy, they'll be like, did that guy buy you a beer? And I'll be like, he did. What does he stand for? I'll be like, I don't know, but he loves Dave Grohl.
Beer,
Dave Grohl.
He loves beer and Dave Grohl.
He bought stock in Heineken last night, and I got to partake.
Yeah, now he's got to get in there.
All right, so when's your moment, Vince? When's your moment? Tell us the secret.
Oh, my moment. God.
Yeah, you got a moment.
It's funny. Like I mentioned that feeling like I was doing something, could like keep doing it and get paid was that Bad Brains thing in Oakland in the 80s. But then there was a moment when I was out with Greg Kihn, which turned into Greg Kihn was like an 80s rock star, Jeopardy and all these songs. But it was really, I worked for Jimmy Lion.
I thought it was Greg Kihn, no? K-A-H-N, right?
No, it's Kihn.
Kihn.
No, man. But I'll tell him he said that, he'll laugh. He's like
punch me in the face. We're lost in Jeopardy, baby.
I'm lost in Jeopardy, baby. But his guitarist, Jimmy Lion. Now, Jimmy Lion is like he's an extraordinary cat. He's played for Eddie Money. Some of this, when you think of Two Tickets to Paradise and all that great lead shit. Yeah, that's Jimmy Lion. And
you never played guitar, did you?
Actually, a little bit, but not worth a shit. Not Jimmy Lion style. And then, we moved on to Greg Kihn and Tina Turner during her, really the height of her. He was one of those guys that he was a hired gun. You could just do shit. Like, there was no second take for him. He didn't need that. You just come in, give him the material. He'd fucking put a cigarette in the tip of his neck of his guitar. All I had to do is keep his shit in tune and make sure his Hawaiian shirts are clean. And like, he just rocked his brains out. And that was, for me, that was really qualifying a lot of times until then. I didn't know. We did a lot of different things. You didn't really never feel like you were great at one thing, but I was good with him, and I understood what his needs were and how to keep his guitar sounding right. This, to me, was a legendary fella that had played on some of the best rock and roll albums in the world. And we get to be, like his man Friday. It was fucking great. Did this for years. We saw lots of stuff together. I made mistakes, There's other times coming here.
First Rock in Rio with him.
Oh my God, like really huge, massive things. Okay. But then, I worked with my brother off and on in businesses. We started out touring together on the band side of shit. That was for a long, long time, like over 15, 16 years. But then he went doing his thing. He runs businesses. I came in, we came back together to do this thing in particular. I've always been his man. Like, he can hire me out to do some like Stevie Wonder for sale on stage or Delicate or something down. But like, he runs businesses. He's that guy. He's that manager guy, the general manager guy, the coach, and fucking, he's always been my mentor. He's my older brother. So I follow him.
So that's a good one. So, I mean, you guys are so lucky to be related and to work together all these years,
Yeah, cool. He's like my best friend. And he's like the first person that would try to kill me and the first person that would try to save me. When he gets fucking hurt, he calls for me. Like, and when I fucking get a boo-boo, I fucking reach out to my brother.
So when you guys were little dudes, were you guys real close too?
He used to whip my ass on the regular, but I was an annoying little bastard. And at the same time, he would like kill a person if they fucked with me. Like that was like
well, that right there is being a roadie. We all talk shit, but if you fuck with one of my brothers,
yeah, like that's the worst thing that can happen. Especially like we're scrapping and you try to break it up, it's gonna be so on for you. Like you just.
I think most of the fights that I got into when I was young was because of his fucking mouth.
Yeah, because I struggle with injustice and something not being the way it should be in front of me. I'm gonna like talk on it. Sometimes I'm like writing checks with my mouth, my ass can't cash, and now I gotta wait for my guns to come in with me. And like, but I've never been like afraid to cheat and to like bring in overwhelming numbers to take care of a situation. So
yeah, my brother will fucking kick your ass.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, man.
Fucked up. My
brother's gonna be here in about 5 minutes. When he does, he's gonna kick your ass.
Yeah. So like, I get us in some shit through the years, and now that we're older, now we like use our words, and we're like calmer. We're trying to do a little grace. We're trying to express the wisdom. And a big one here too is listen, we're for sound image, man. Sound image is a pretty large concern. We got mad love and respect for the people that created that sound image, which is Dave Shadone and Rob Wagner and just all these like legendary cats, Mike Spagoo, and just like, you know what I mean? You walk on shoulders, man. We got to respect what we do here. And we're really about being right and clean, and the gear is perfect and everything is painted and always in perfect state of repair and readiness. My shop's so clean you could damn near eat off the floors, man. And nice. It's just a way of doing shit, we're just
being proud about what you've built.
Yeah, it's super good. And I got to come back to the end of this thing about when we come back about 6 years ago. This was just a giant building with 4 concrete walls,
It was a steel factory.
Yeah, and we just ripped everything up and put in all this security stuff, 10,000 feet of RJ45 and cameras everywhere, and pallet racking and cages for mics and outboard gear and you know what I mean? Like we built a shop. Now we got thousands and thousands of feet of hundreds and hundreds of cases of lighting and audio and all the stuff it takes. You got 15,000 square feet in the backyard with 60 by 60 foot stages with roofs and all the stuff it takes to put on rock shows. Like you call one place, just call us. But when you call us, man, you're gonna probably spend what it takes to get us there. But like you're not gonna worry about nothing. We're just gonna come. We're gonna put on. We're gonna do it.
Sometimes it's worth it. It's who needs all the trouble. So I'm going through it right now with like fixing up my house, and it's a bear. Just get the guy who knows what he's doing. He's been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
All right. So question, maybe last question. So you can photograph anybody. Who would you photograph, Vince? Clearly, I'm a fan of your photography.
Yeah. Well, that's a tough one because I haven't really been banned from too many people. I've got Paul McCartney. I've got a lot of good ones. I don't know. I guess Johnny, there's people that are just legendary. I did some work with him in this band called the Highwaymen. This is my thing, my brother. This is Willie and Waylon and Chris Christopherson.
The Highwaymen.
Wait, you did photograph Johnny Cash, or you want to?
No, he was. I have some really crappy ones, but to actually get a moment with him and an approved picture. He was having some problems with June Carter at the time.
Right.
And it sucked.
That was called Crank.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Nice. But so, you know what I mean? But just for mad respect for a dude, just that's fucking the man in black right there, especially the way I roll and see myself, And
there was some kid years ago, and he bought his shirt at Hot Topic probably. And I was like, hey, so does that shirt come in white? And the guy didn't even get the joke. And I'm sort of like, oh, geez,
No, dude, that's like when people are rocking around with like a Misfit shirt on, the beast on the front. And they don't know who the Misfits are. They don't.
No clue.
It's just the, and I'm not saying the Misfits are that great anyways, but they are a thing, and they do represent a specific time in New York horror punk. And it's not, right? And so just because they have got, to their credit, after maybe the Iron Maiden, they have got one of the most successful merchandising schemes of any band.
Social D. You guys were talking about Social D.
Social D does well. Yeah, Mike Ness is always, since Mommy's Little Monster came out, that album with that great cover, and he's got one of the most distinctive voices in rock and roll. You got to give it to him, and it's fucking his little he does. Yeah, it's pretty great.
His songs are fun to listen to.
Yeah, they are. It's I don't even know how to class it. Mike's always been doing something at a slightly different time, in his different time signature. I always thought of him more as like his band, Mike Ness, his separate band is actually pretty interesting too. It's very melodic, kind of just slightly distorted. It's like the Beatles sped up a little bit. It's like he's got a different sensibility. I always thought he kind of crept into the category of being like in the hardcore 80s punk scene when he really wasn't. He was really more, he had his own lane, It's like there's a few bands like that really just did. It's like
Their own thing.
Jellyfish, Yeah, it's his own stuff. He owned it, and that makes him special.
That's why I love the early punk genre. It was just,
Yeah.
nobody knew what they were going to get out of it. They were just doing it. And that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that was a really amazing time.
That's cool. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for your time.
It was a blast, man. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe by clicking the round button on the bottom right. To learn more about me or the guests on the show, go to joelrohde.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. The handle's Joel Rohde. And don't forget, when you party like a rock star, don't be a dick.